Joe in Chicago. See more better with freeprescriptionlenses.com, and today I'm going to cut Transitions XTRAactive Gray with an anti-glare coating with a blue, as I call the Johnny Depp tint, for your Warby Parkers. This is only about the second or third pair of Warby Parker frames I've cut lenses for. But I'm not an authorized dealer. You can only get them from Warby Parker. So if anyone out there has a frame they need lenses for, let me know. And nice to see you. How cute is that? But this is it. This is the Warby Parker More color 200 in the 57 eye size. Cool tortoise frame. It's going to look even cooler with these lenses put in there. And before I get started, I just want to thank you. This is the fourth pair of glasses you've had me made starting in 2014. Got a pair in 2015, and of course two pair. Well, I take it back. One pair in October of 2017, and then so we're starting January off, starting a new year with this pair. So let me go ahead and begin. I'm going to pop out the original demo lenses that come in the frame. Let me put that back in there so I don't lose them. I'm going to put the frame into the tracing element of my edger and hit start. Tracing element of my blocker, I should say. Everybody wants to know, how does the computer know what shape lens to cut? This is why that little stylus has come up and is going around tracing the inside bevel of the right lens before doing the same thing on the left. Here at freeprescriptionlenses.com, where everyone loves a bargain and no one is disappointed in quality. You buy a genuine, authentic frame from me and you'll receive one free pair of clear single vision prescription lenses or non-prescription fashion lenses. My receipt has my federal ID tax number on there, so if you have vision insurance or flex dollars, you'll get reimbursed for this purchase, whether they are prescription or not. Now this is the shape that we will be cutting today. Let's go ahead and enter your pupillary distance, which is 33.5 in each eye. The computer starts at 32.5. So I'm going to go up and tap this plus button a couple times because it goes up in 0.5 millimeter increments. I also want to raise the optical center up to about, come on now, 33.5, there we go. Raise it up to about, let's see, we'll do 26 this time. I'm just going to raise up, I'm going to change that on here. We'll go up 3 millimeters, or 4. The geometric center of your frame, if you were to measure vertically and horizontally, is right there. It was at 22 millimeters, but because this is a deep frame and most of it's going to sit below your pupil, I raised the optical center height up so it sits directly in front of your pupil. So we can go ahead and get your lenses prepped now. We come down here. Let's see, this one is marked R. I don't know if you can see that. And I'm going to turn the axis wheel to 165. That is the axis for the right eye. Put the zero, everything out there. Put the power drum on -1 at 165. We're good there. Let's put this lens in and rotate until the spherical component comes in clearly. We can check your astigmatism correction, which I'll explain a little bit later. And let's go ahead and put 3 dots on your lenses. Those are good 3 dots. I put that up on the platform. Let's do the same thing for the left eye. Turn the axis wheel to 20. There we go. Put the power drum on -1 1/4. Put the left lens in. Rotate until the sphere power comes in clearly. Is that right? Hang on. 20. I think it's upside down. There we go. Now we're cooking with solar energy. It's just going to take a lot longer. Okay, -1 1/4. Let me check your astigmatism correction. -2. Yep, we're good. Let me put 3 dots on this lens. Let me darken the center one, which is the most critical. And if any of you missed that, let me recap. I'm telling you, that joke is for me. It's not for anyone else. It's not funny anymore. It's only funny to me. So this is a block, or as I like to call them, Jenny from the block. I need to attach this to your lens while it is cutting. So I need to use a double-sided adhesive sticker, of which I've got a couple right here. The black side is the sticky side. I'm going to stick this onto the first block, do the same thing for the second. Pull the paper away to make the black side sticky. Now on the back is a silver button that is a magnet. It's going to do its job twice today. The first time, it's going to attach itself to something magnetical there in the arm. I don't know what that is. Come on, chemistry majors, tell me what makes the metal attach. And let's magnify everything. 33.526, 33.526. Get everything lined up perfectly. And it is. Check one thing. Yes, that lens is large enough to cut out. Hit that button. The arm's going to come down and place the block onto the right lens. Press that on there firm. Let's do the same thing now for the second one. Toss that into the trash. Get everything lined up perfectly. Now the same pupillary distance for the left eye, you're equal in both eyes, 33.5, 33.5. We're at 33.5. Same vertical height. I'm going to make sure everything is perfect here. Yes, it is. Just enough room for it to cut out. And I'm going to hit that button. The arm's going to come down and place the block onto the left lens. Now this is the edger. This is what's going to do all the work while I run my mouth. It costs $40,000. It weighs 200 pounds. I recommend everyone go out and buy their own edger, put it on your kitchen counter. Then you can cut your own lenses for your own Warby Parker frames. After I'm done with this, you'll know how. And you won't need this guy anymore to do it for you. But the actual cutting wheel is this one here. It acts like a heavy grit sandpaper to grind away the lens material until it's the final size. This wheel in the center of that channel, that little valley, that's what's going to put the V-shaped bevel onto the lens so it stays inside the bevel of the frame. So, let's see. Let's pull up the shape onto the computer. That is the shape we'll be cutting. Now, normally, cut polycarbonate lenses primarily, but this time it's going to be plastic because these are transition lenses, but he wanted a little bit of tint on top of that. These are actually the Transitions XTRAactive, and the reason why we went with that, there are, pros and cons to every lens, but part of the reason we did plastic is before we tried to tint lenses on a polycarb lens, we could not get them dark enough, and he wanted a Johnny Depp type of blue, and so we went with plastic because it can absorb the tint a little bit better than polycarbonate. Because here's a nice technical thing: when you put the anti-glare coating onto the lenses, it will lighten the color of any tint. So we had to get them as dark as possible before putting the anti-glare coating on there, because that would cause it to lighten again, which I think was the problem the first time around for the polycarbonate lenses. So these are plastic. I'm not going to polish the edge of the lens in here because it won't be seen. I'm not going to put a bevel on the front convex surface of the lens. I'm only going to put a safety bevel on the rear concave surface of the lens. And press that on there, put that into, now the magnet is going to do its job a second time. It's going to attach itself to something magnetical there in the chuck, or as I like to call it, the Charles, because I don't know the machine well enough to call it chuck. Yeah, that joke's not funny to anyone either. I'm going to hit the green arrow, which is start in every language. The door closes, the clamp shuts, and then the lens is going to be traced by two white styluses, making sure that it's large enough to fit into the frame. It's going to go close to the edge on this one with the size of it, and you see as it's going around. And of course, the old carpenter saying measure twice, cut once. It's measuring the thickness of the lens at every point to know exactly and precisely where to place the bevel for the least amount of edge thickness. I could manually override it and move the bevel forwards or backwards, but with this frame and with your prescription, Joe, it's not going to be that critical. Now here's something unique. Water is spraying onto the lens while this is cutting. That's because plastic lenses cut wet. Plastic Hindex, plastic, and Trivex cut wet. Polycarbonate cuts dry, where normally you wouldn't see water spraying onto the lens during the cutting cycle. But you did get the XTRAactive with tint on top and the anti-glare coating. The anti-glare coating is 3 features in one, and I'll demonstrate the transitions portion later. But it eliminates glare when driving at night, particularly driving at night in the rain. Excuse me if you missed any of this. But eliminates off of headlights, street lights, street lamps, even indoors underneath fluorescents and computer screens. It's also a reflection-free lens. That's why it goes by the initials ARC, anti-reflective coating. So when someone's looking at you, they're not looking at their reflection in your glasses. It makes for much better eye contact. Plus, if someone takes a picture with a flash or a selfie, you're much less likely to see the reflection of the camera in the lens. Now, the third feature that I like, which is the practical side, is it comes with the industry's hardest scratch coating. And they literally vaporize 8 different coatings, 8 different chemicals onto your lens, which forms the anti-glare coating. So because of the time and the expense, because it takes over 24 hours to do, it has to dry between coatings. Because of the time and the expense, They put the industry's hardest scratch protection on top of that. Now, one thing I'd like to mention, even though plastic cuts quicker, I've been mentioning some of the books that I've been reading, and this is what I've read in the past month. I just finished this one this week. Now, the snowstorm that hit the East Coast, I was snowed in on Wednesday. It gave me a chance to read The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I did not realize it was a novel. I was a little bit skeptical, but after the first couple pages, this thing was a page turner. I had this finished in just a couple hours. It is amazing to note that this has been translated into 80 different languages and is considered one of the top 10 books of the 20th century. That's a lot of pressure to put on somebody, but it's all about you know, following the omens that you get in life. I finished this one up this past week that someone recommended to me. You Are a, let's say, Badass. How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life. Let's see, the one before that, Think and Grow Rich. I actually got through the first 50 or 60 pages and sadly kind of lost interest. Started reading this, and at the back of the book, this author gave a list of some of her favorite books. And one of them, let's see if I can find it. It's in here somewhere. What am I looking for? Think and Grow Rich. Okay. It's got to be in here. Got to be in here. Here it is. She considers this one of the 2 best books she's ever read in her life, and she's read it several times. So it made me go back. And of course, the other one is The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles. Don't let the term rich fool you. It's about living a rich and fulfilling life. We live in a capitalistic society. There's no getting around that. So you use the system to be successful. I'm a sports fan. You play the defense that you're giving, and if you want to live a life where you can give back to others, it does take resources to do that. Before that, Evan Carmichael. I love his speeches on YouTube, the inspirational ones. In fact, that's why I got to The Alchemist. I was watching a Will Smith video, inspirational or motivational talk. He said this is one of the best books he's ever read in his life during a speech with Evan Carmichael, so that's why I went out and got it. Of course, one of the best books I've read in the past month is The 7th Habit of Highly Effective People. My wife went out and got me this one for the holidays, and the one I'm currently reading, which even though I love his writing style, after one page I was hooked, but this is 600 something pages, so I'm not going to be able to get through this one. I'm trying to read a book a week. Some of them are easy. This one only took me one day. This one I was able to finish on the snow day. Started this one, did it, and then I finished the last 125 pages of this one in the snow. And as always, if anyone's reading, keep a highlighter with you. Highlight what's important. And when I'm done reading the book, I go back and turn all the pages and reread everything that I've highlighted, just to relearn it and help me memorize it even more. So this one is done. Let's see if it fits first time around. I'm going to tuck it in at the outside corner, push down at the edges, and it snaps right in. That was good. Let's go ahead and cut the left lens. Put that in there, hit start. Oop, let's hit start. Yes, my finger works. I do like to use this, but my finger does work. So, just like before, it's tracing the left lens to make sure that it's large enough to fit into the frame, and then measuring the thickness of the lens at every point to know exactly precisely where to place the bevel for the best cosmetic look. And as I told you, look at that, even with a plastic lens, polycarbonates are 40% thinner, but even in your prescription there is no edge thickness whatsoever in a large frame, which is always a concern. So while the left lens is cutting, I'm going to go ahead and keep working on the right. Take that off. Keep working on my artwork here. Use these stickers to make a blob. And I'm going to come down here and read, let's see if I have the prescription to read, and the flashlight. Put the power drum back on 165. Put the lens in just above that black dot. Let's dry everything off, shall we? No sense having that excess moisture on there. Put it in my Marco 101 lensometer, put it in just above that black dot. And when I read the power, where am I at? Here we go. I am getting -1. That's because the unit of measurement we use in the optical world is called a diopter, spelled D-I-O-P-T-E-R. You need 4 steps of far-sighted correction. You are nearsighted with your glasses off. You can see everything up close wonderfully, but you can't see far away. So you need 4 steps. You're on the 4th rung of a ladder of minification. That's why there's a minus sign before your lens. Now, once everything's the correct size, we have to take away fuzzy edges. That's what astigmatism is. It's what makes 6s and 8s look alike, or the letters P and F. And so that's the fine-tune knob, and we're going to turn that fine-tune knob to 165. You have 2 curves on your eye. A far-sided curve, which 4 steps this way. An astigmatic curve, which is 3 steps more curvature than this one. And it's how we line up those 2 curves to make everything nice and crisp. And we're going to turn that fine-tune knob to 165. Let's check your astigmatism correction. And we come out at minus 175, 1 tick mark away from 2. That's because when you add 2 unlike signs together, yeah, let's forget that. If you loaned someone $1, then they borrowed another 75 cents, they would owe you $1.75. That's where we're at 175 in the red. Now your left eye, you need 5 steps of far-sided correction with the same amount of astigmatic correction. There is a stigma over the word astigmatism. It just means shape. Everyone freaks out when they hear that word. It's like saying someone has straight hair, someone else has curly hair. You don't freak out when you hear that. But we're going to turn that fine-tune knob to 20 for your left eye. These first 2 numbers are real values to be concerned with. This last number could be anywhere from 0 to 180, even though you think 165 and 20 are far apart. A straight line is 0 to 90 to 180. For your right eye, you're at 165, which is 15 degrees away from the 180 meridian. For your left eye, you're at 20. So you're at 20 degrees away. So really, you're only 5 degrees apart when you think on that same meridian. So, although again, very arbitrary number, doesn't mean anything. So let's see, don't leave that down here. Let's see if the left lens fits this time around. Dry everything off. And we're going to tuck the left lens in at the outside corner first, using the thumbs pressed down. That snaps right in. We can go ahead and take this block off. Throw that in there, put that sticker on top of there. Watch me grow. Come down here, we're going to turn that fine-tune knob to check your astigmatism of your left eye. That second curvature to 20. We're going to put it in just above that black dot. And when we check, we are getting minus 1 1/4, exactly halfway between 1 and 1 1/2. Check your astigmatism correction, and we're ending up at, I overshot it, we're ending up at minus 2. So again, minus 1 1/4 plus minus 75 is minus 2. Minus 2, that checks out perfectly. Your pupillary distance is 33.5 in each eye, which is a total of 67. So I'm going to turn the card around and hold your lenses up, and I'm place my PD stick against my thumb on your right lens. And then when we check it on your left lens, we're getting 67, so that is made perfectly. Let me check the vertical height of the lens, also known as the OC, right at 26, as I had programmed it to. Now this is the portion in every video that as I clean your lenses, and I mention you get free shipping anywhere in the US, that when you get these in the mail, there's a small chance that these could fit too loose or too tight. However, there's an 80% chance that one side is going to sit higher than the other. That is because 80% of people have one ear that is higher than the other, and I'm part of that 80%, and I'll show you in just a moment. But because of that statistic, 99% of all optical shops will do free adjustments if you ask them. So just stop by your local place, tell them if they're too loose, too tight, or if it sits high on one side, and they'll be able to adjust that for you. It only takes about 30 seconds to a minute to adjust a pair of glasses perfectly, but I'm going to get them in standard alignment first, also known as a 3-point stance. The 3 points are 1, 2, and the bottom of the frame being 3. I set down and press down. There is no wobble. And when I say wobble, I'm part of that 80%. When I take mine off, they wobble on the counter, but they sit level on me. I'm wearing the Ray-Ban 2132 New Wayfarer, color 6053, which is the blue crystal, to match my blue crystal, if you will, today. I'm always matching. Let me flip this over, make sure there's no wobble. There is not. I close each temple to make sure they overlap perfectly, and they do. Check the same amount of tension on each hinge. That looks good. So this is what your lenses look like. Of course, by the way, I send out not only a selfie request that Joe has done for me, but I send out cleaning instructions on how to care for not only your Warby Parker cloth that is inside of there, but the one that I'm providing, and your Crizal cloth, so they will last you for years. I also include instructions on how to care for your case and frame and lenses, as well as the cleaning cloth and case, so those two will last you for years. So I field test every cloth to make sure that it works before I ship it out. So if you get this in the mail and there's a wrinkle, you know it works. So put that back up there. So this is what your lenses look like with that Johnny Depp blue tint to them. It actually looks even lighter when you wear that, because a light blue is hard to detect. When you hold it down there, it looks somewhat dark, but while you're wearing it, it really doesn't. So this will be an interesting test. Let's see how they look like when they are activated. I'm going to expose them to a strong burst of ultraviolet light. Now it takes about 30 to 45 seconds for transition lenses to darken when you go outside. It takes a little bit longer, 45 seconds to a minute 15 to darken when you come back inside. Now all transition lenses will darken on day one and continue to darken every day for the first couple weeks they're exposed to the sun. After that, they will work for years with maximum performance. Now the only time transition signature 7 lenses won't work is if you're behind the windshield of a car. Your windshield absorbs all the sun's harmful ultraviolet rays that would cause your lenses to cause your dashboard to crack from sitting in the sun, and that's why transition signature 7 lenses don't get dark in a car. Now you have the XTRAactive, and they will darken in a car. The other thing about transition signature 7 lenses, they get darker when it's 85 and below than they will when it's 95 and above. So but the XTRAactive are designed for people who are outdoors a lot and do get darker in darker weather. Now transition XTRAactive costs more because they do more. Without you buying the frame from me, the Transitions XTRAactive lenses are $134.99. The anti-glare coating is $44.99, and the tint is $20. That blue Johnny Depp tint for a total of $199.98. Let me take these out, and this is what they look like after they've been darkened for the first time. Don't worry, they're going to keep darkening. Come on, Joe, we talked about that. Don't you remember? Stay with me, Joe. But that is really, really cool with the blue tint on top of that Transitions XTRAactive gray. I did this on a plastic lens, as I mentioned before, because the polycarbonate just doesn't absorb tint as well as plastic. Again, with the pros come the cons. Polycarbonate has its own advantages, but it just does not tint as well as a plastic lens. So if anyone's out there wants a tint on top of on top of a transition lens, let's go with part of the reason the lab doesn't like to do it. If I keep talking, you'll see as is lightning, is that when you put tint on a lens, it interferes with the sun's UV rays that cause the transition to darken. So in order to get, again, dark outside, it's getting lighter as I talk, but to get dark outside, we went with the XTRAactive just so we could cancel out some of the effect of the tint. This is what drives engineers crazy. You ought to be able to do the same thing every time. But lens materials vary, the tint can vary, and the sun's intensity can vary, which would cause the different levels of darkening on the lens. So we went with the Transitions XTRAactive with a 50% tint, and as you saw just a minute ago, the XTRAactive get very dark even with the tint on there. Of course, you got the anti-glare coating. And if anyone has any questions, you can email me at freeprescriptionlenses@gmail.com or simply click the contact me button on the website. But now one thing I like to do is have people leave a comment in the comment section below. I like pointing like that's going to do something. How about my stylus? Does that help you? It's right, the comment section is right below the description. But if you had a question or a comment, you may actually help someone else. All these books are about helping yourself so you can help other people, and you can benefit others by leaving a comment down there. And of course, if you like what you've seen, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel to see more of these. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram, although I'm much busier on Instagram than I am Facebook, at Free Prescription Lenses, and on Twitter at Free RX Lenses. So Joe in Chicago, again, I can't thank you enough for giving me the opportunity to cut a 4th set of lenses for you. This time it's for the Warby Parker More color 200, which is a dark tortoise in the 57 eye size. And hopefully everyone else has got the chance to see how I bring that love and feeling back to glasses. Thank you.